Do I need a headset?
No, I think we're good now. It was probably all me. So anyway, hi, you guys. We're live on YouTube. Hi, YouTubers of the Terri Cole channel. This is Danielle LaPorte and me. We're talking about real feelings. Real talk about real feelings and why it's so incredibly important to know how you feel. So let's see if we can get the, if we can see what you guys are saying. I want to see what you're saying. And Joyce, if you have anything to say to me and you're on here, please do. So let's just get to it, shall we?
That's such a subtle boss way of saying, someone please tell me this is working.
That's all I want to know. Just someone please tell me this is working. I guess I could just say that. I'm going to see if Joyce will tell me. That would be great. Someone from my team is on here. Anyway, you guys on YouTube, hi. Remember I said I was going to be live again? I am, and I'm going to be live again on the 23rd. So you know, if you want to make a plan, which I would love for you to make a plan. What Danielle and I, though, are super passionate about talking about today are feelings, about you knowing your feelings, and about you basically arranging your life, organizing, using your core desired feelings, as Danielle LaPorte would say, to make plans, to organize your life based on how you feel.
To make yourself matter. Can I start by asking you a psychologist question?
Sure.
Because you have so many stories. Do you think in general, when a woman is still in her, working on her wounds, in her shadow self, in progress, I mean, we're all in progress, but is there a general disposition to invalidate our feelings?
Yep. There is a general disposition. Part of the problem is that regardless of what kind of dysfunctional family system you were raised in one, because pretty much all of us are. And what ends up happening is that if it's a narcissistic family system, then what a child is taught is that you are in service of the parent, the dysfunctional parent. That's also with addicted family systems. So what does that mean? That means you learn super early on in life that the way that you feel does not matter, that you learn, you become expert at stuffing your feelings down, prioritizing the feelings of others. Because why? We're very adaptive. We don't want to be in trouble. We don't want to be hurt. We don't want to be physically hurt or emotionally hurt. So those are basically all the reasons why we learn that. Then we move into society. So let's say you didn't even have that. Let's say you had a pretty normal family system, but then you move into society. And what does society tell us? That if you have certain feelings, you're bad, you're wrong. That as women, mothers, Mama Earth, we should be the ever-giving, have no needs. So again, I would say to clients when they came in, therapy clients when they came in, I would ask certain questions, simple questions. What brings you joy? 9.5 times out of 10, what do you think they would say?
They didn't know.
Right.
Yeah.
They did not know.
Isn't it just, it's that heavy sigh.
It's
right
just
there.
Such a bummer that that we can go through our entire lives. Because sometimes these women were women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s saying, I don't know, I never really thought about it. We're like, wow, how about think about it now? But you've sort of institutionalized, or no, that's not the word, not institutionalized, but you figured out a way to very simply and directly teach us how to do this, right?
Yeah. And so to my reflection, or that's my corollary of your experience as a psychotherapist, is when I talk about this, people will say, my feelings matter. My feelings are a priority. I should put them at the top of the list, how I feel. And then you start to unpack that. And then you get into the conversation around selfishness. And it's almost, I have lots of compassion and space for this. I'll continue to have this conversation till the day I die if I have to. But I'm so disheartened by this is self-care selfish conversation. We're still there. I mean, it's almost like, all the women who've been marching for human rights with the signs of like, we're still fucking protesting this. It's like we're still debating whether self-care is selfish or not.
Right. Ridiculous and crazy.
Ridiculous. So this is why I'm really excited about the timing of all things Desire Map now.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I also think there's been I think all timing is divine, but it's like, I wrote the first version of this. It's 5-6-ish years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now all this science is starting to emerge. It's like this beautiful, we're finally on the track together. It's like, hey, I've been saying that feelings matter and how you feel affects your reality. And all these dudes, bless the science dudes, have been doing real science, able to measure electromagnetic frequencies that come off different areas of the body, the brain, the heart, the gut. And it turns out that the brain, the heart wave, imagine your heart was a cell phone, is 5,000 times more powerful than the brain wave. Just need to think about that for 1 minute. It's like, yes, our thoughts create our reality, but really, really, it's our feelings that create our reality. And our thoughts have to be in support of the feelings we most want to feel. That's really what I'm on about. Yeah.
And let's talk about how much of the time that isn't the case, because when we've been raised in many ways to disavow our feelings, especially if those feelings will inspire us to have a difficult conversation, will inspire us to have to draw a boundary we don't know how to draw, will inspire us to, it's like there's a certain amount of denial about feelings. If we think that having that feeling will require us to take an action that maybe we don't think we know how to take. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we resist feeling angry because we may have to do something about that. We also resist feeling joy because we may have to do something about that. Like, let's talk about why do you think, well, I should ask you if you think joy is an unsettling feeling for most people, for many people?
Yeah, I do think so. And I'll tell you why, for a couple of reasons. One is that it is an emotion that we don't have that much control over, because joy is something that sort of bubbles up naturally if we allow it. There's a lot more control over like complaining and negativity, and low vibration emotions are easier to control. So we can be mad, right, more easily than we can allow ourselves to feel joy. And then you have the school of thought, or the people who are so afraid to feel good because they're so afraid it won't last. So my feeling is, know that it won't last, because all feelings are temporary, and it's okay. Let's get it while we can. And know that your sadness doesn't need to last either. Your depression doesn't need to last either. So my feeling is it's sort of changing the view, the frame on the thing with feelings. What I love that you're doing with this resurrection of Desire Map and of this course on Commune, this free thing, that part of why we're talking today, my YouTubers, is that there's an opportunity for you to do this, the first part of this 4-part series with Danielle free on this beautiful platform called Commune, which we love. I already signed up. I already got into the room. I'm so excited to start. So if you're interested in doing something free, Joyce will drop the link for you right in the comments. And if you're watching this after the fact, I'm sure it'll be in the post wherever this is, because this is something that you have actually gotten it to a science. And I use it all the time. Everyone in my crew knows that we're really big desire mappers here in respect to identifying your core desired feelings and knowing that it's also okay for them to change. So tell me a little bit about why now, I get the science, but on Commune, and what can people get in this first part of this course if they want to do it?
Well, the why now is I was busting with all the new stuff, and 200,000 people, can't believe I get to say that, have done the desire mapping process. And we know a lot more than we did before. And I also wanted to, the feedback, like we have, I love that I can say this. Every weekend, somewhere in the world, there's a desire map workshop because we have our hundreds of facilitators and coaches. And the response is people get their core desired feelings, but there's really a now what? You have to go out and live them, and you have to make a choice every day. And so, we created this whole day planner program. So every day you're reflecting and you're asking about gratitude and what you're going to stop doing, and who you want to be giving to and receiving from, and like deeper layers. But there were more meditative things that I got clear on. There were things I was using in my life. Like, I created the heart centering practice, which is a combination of like breath, moving into gratitude, sensing your physical, your prana, the energy. And again, this is another common blockage for a lot of people where they'll say, I can't feel the energy in my body. Okay, that's okay. Just, can you feel the energy in your hands? I bet you just focus on your hands and feel it. And then you can move on to just sensing like something is breathing you. You are life, you're alive. And then it's about bringing your core desired feelings. And even if you haven't desire mapped and you don't know what it is, just think about one great thing you want to feel right now, your preferred state of being. Bring that into your heart. Where your attention goes, you bring in the energy. We know that the heart is energetically super powerful. And then you're asking your feelings, your heart, for a cue for that day. I do it in the morning. I do it at night. I do it throughout the day. I do it in my car when I'm in a shitty mood and I need to pivot and I want to be in a different state. And really, really, all of this is the, if people get this, I can die happy topic, self-agency. I really just want people to have the epiphany that you get to choose how you feel. And if Nelson Mandela can feel liberation and freedom during and after 27 years of imprisonment, if a number of people who were in internment camps and other horrific situations can find joy and healing and empathy, we can choose to feel positive and grateful on one bad day in a traffic jam or when our partner isn't meeting our needs. Like, we get to choose. And you've taught me so much about neural pathways, and this is what I'm really getting with the various layers of desire mapping is like, every time I'm in an unpleasant state and I become aware of it and that I'm not a victim of it and I choose differently, I do what it takes, whether it's breathing or saying thank you or just having a glass of water to get into a more positive state. I'm aware of like this pathway in my brain of light that's starting a fire, and I can see those pathways, those choices getting stronger and more in a groove and lighting up more. So
yes, and that's amazing with the neural pathways, because again, there's more science about that coming out now with meditation and all different kinds of things about how powerful we are in what our intention is and what we can create that sticks in the brain. Laura had a question about, she said, is sadness inevitable after exclusion from family by my mother? Yes, of course it is. How to overcome it. So I want to talk about that because I want to make the distinction between, so Laura, thanks for sharing. How to overcome it. Here's the thing. I don't look for, because I'm a therapist, I don't look at overcoming. I look at processing. I look at integrating. I look at honoring. So of course there'll be sadness if you are excluded from your family. And I guarantee you there's probably a really good reason that the universe is sparing you some more bullshit that you don't need. It's probably an unhealthy family system, because only someone who isn't really well would do that. Most people don't have cutoffs. And if you have a lot of cutoffs like that in your family system, it's dysfunctional. So what I want to say is, we're going to be looking at this conversation about feeling sort of differently. With what Danielle is talking about, we're talking about how we feel most of the time, the things we choose to focus our attention on, which does not mean that we're talking about bypassing important feeling processes. You are the queen, my friend, of feeling your feelings and going through the process of what they are. where desire mapping in this course is so brilliant is that it makes us think about the feeling state that we want to be in 90% of the time, and the one we are in 90% of the time. Because think about conflict, peak experiences, peak moments in our lives, good and bad. Those make up a small percentage of our life. That's the truth. Unless you live in a war zone, God forbid, or you live somewhere where, you know, you have these negative peak experiences all the time because of the circumstance that you're in. It's like, I want you to look at the fact that most of the day we do have a choice of, as Danielle said before, I can be in traffic and I have a choice. If somebody comes into my life, someone in my life says, I woke up in a bad mood, I'm like, go back to bed, motherfucker. Like, you cannot do that. You can understand. I always say, was there a precipitating event? Did something happen? What was the last thing you remember? Because I'm not saying that there's not causation for the way that we feel, but then staying in that past the due date, past the value, past that you got something out of it, that is the choice that we're talking about. So we really are talking about two different processes. The psychotherapeutic process of, you know, excavating the crap from the smelly bag of crap from the basement of our minds, the unconscious mind, the experiences or the current dramatic experiences or traumatic experiences we have. That's one thing where obviously neither one of us would be into bypassing that.
Mm-hmm.
We're really talking about, though, how much power your heart vibration has, as Dee just said before, your mind, but it's also your feelings. So we're basically bringing it into the heart, dialing in. And as Danielle was saying about her heart-centered practice, it's having you dial into your heart on a regular basis, where so much of the time, especially you women out there who are ballers, you're building empires, you're doing your thing, you got kids, you got aging parents, you got whatever you're doing, it's really easy to just be like, check the box, next thing, and not be dialing into your feeling state. And just being on that fight or flight feeling state of get it done. You know what I mean? So what do you suggest, Steve, for how can people start to even know? Because you said before, because you're so well versed and immersed in people knowing their core desired feelings. But what if someone on YouTube is like, what is happening here? And what is a core desired feeling? Give us some examples.
Your core desired feeling is how you want to feel most of the time. I think they're qualities of the heart. They are either these particular feelings, or they relate to them, or somehow they go back to them. It's about joy, it's about generosity, it's about gentleness, and it's about compassion. And there's probably some more. As for actual core desired feelings, I've heard everything from my core desired feeling is inspiration, water, mother, boldness, connection, communion. Right now, my core desired feelings, personally, I just desire mapped a couple weeks ago. I do it about every 6 months. Love, union, flowing, vibrant, and joy. 5 is like, I think, the max out. If 7 is your lucky number and you want to come up with 7 core desired feelings, just do it. But I think 5 is the number that your brain can remember easily. So you can be picking that feeling in the morning or whenever it is you want to tune in. And just to like build on what you were saying about not bypassing. I mean, the first idea here is just to ask yourself, how are you feeling? How do you want to feel? And that's your whole point. So many of us are just on autopilot, not even tuning in to how we feel. And a refinement for me has been when we ask ourselves how we're feeling, I suggest that people do it as a witness. So you tune in, and rather than saying, I feel angry, I feel joy, I feel grateful, I feel sad, you're saying, I'm sensing anger, I'm feeling sadness, I'm feeling joy. So you're feeling that. You're not, you aren't that. we're actually, even the heart quality feelings,
Mm-hmm.
that's not who we are. Those are things that are running through our system. They're like expressions they're experiences our soul is having. And so it's such an energetic shift to say, I'm feeling anger as opposed to I am angry.
Yep. Yes, because it's such an important distinction, because again, going back to what we were talking about before, that feelings are not static, that there's all this fluidity around how we feel and why we feel that way. And yet feeling in this intentional way will impact how you feel for the most of your time. And that's the part where now it becomes this very grounding, anchoring experience where we really do understand from this process. And those of you who are interested in learning more, you're going to have a little link that I know Joyce already put it in there. Join us. I'm doing it. I'm so excited. I'm already signed up and it's free. So what can be bad with free? Nothing. Is that it's an anchoring process where people, the daily minutia, quote unquote, right, of being well, of thriving, of going from just surviving to thriving, has so much to do with small, actionable experiences, small, actionable steps that you can take that don't require you to, go sit on a mountaintop somewhere for 4 months on another continent, where you're allowed to, and it's possible to do this in these small ways that you're talking about, which is what I love so much about desire mapping, is that it always gave me something that I could actually do. So instead of feeling overwhelmed and like a loser, I would feel like, but I did do that. I did write that thing that day, the one thing that I had to do or write down or get dialed into my feelings and ask the thing that helped me the most in understanding desire mapping is using it when I was decision making. So I would dial back into my core desired feelings and say, okay, so always my number one is freedom. So freedom, fluid, joyful, connected, whatever, those are kind of always my top ones. And then I would ask myself a question about a decision I'm going to make. And I would say, is this decision going to create more freedom or less freedom? Will it create more flow or less flow? And what is so interesting, because I'm an Aries and I have a tendency to be, and I'm a Pitta, if you guys are into Vedic stuff, like if you want to know
fire.
So much fire that I
froze a bit. Maybe I'm still recording. Terri froze, but I'm still here. I think I'm still here. What do we do now? Let me just text Terri and see what's up. Terri, you froze. I love you. Well, if I'm still live and this is still recording, I can wrap this up and just say, go to One Calming, that's ONE calming.com. The first module where you can discover your core desired feelings is all there. You get 14 worksheets and an hour of me walking through it with you. Okay, I think we're still recording. I'm sending you love. I'm Instagram, DanielleLaPorte.com, TerriCole.com, Terri with an I. If you're here, you know Terri. And I'm just sending love and gratitude. And I'm going to wrap it. Mwah.